Okay, connected. Let's get the word out, and then we're going to get fired up, whether the chat fills up or not, because that's how we roll on the Bonnet Chronicles. We have a lot to talk about this week. This news has been crazy. I know people are worried. If you are in the DC area, I really hope that you are someplace safe. Right now, we are dealing with the fallout of a nation that has allowed entitlement, which is going to be the heart of tonight's conversation. But we're getting started off with this bullshit from NBC News. And why are we getting started with this? Because this is what we are dealing with in the fight to keep people focused on what is important, why we need to vote beyond the current administration, while we need to make sure that our state and local representatives are in tow, because we can't rely on our media to accurately portray what's going on here and abroad as anything but the president's fault. The fact that somebody greenlit this tweet is so irresponsible, but I need to pick it apart. Because the whole idea that Black Americans are among the most affected by inflation, yet continue to give President Biden the highest approval ratings. Welcome to the chat, Beans. What do you expect? We understood the assignment. We knew that even though we were being pulled out of the fires of 45, that this wasn't going to just be an easy transition. We weren't going to just wake up one day and everything was going to magically be solved. But you got these loud, entitled people who think the president is just a dictator. The president is supposed to wave a magic pen and make everything magically better for everybody. And that's not how this world works. And the fact that the media wants to ding Biden's support amongst Black people, who have notoriously had to always share the lot, who understand that getting hard work, despite not getting sung for it, is our normal lot in life, is just frustrating because it's an attack on us. They would amplify people who would sit in apparent opulence on the bodies of our work, which I'm going to get to tonight as well, instead. But this administration, who has been rolling out vaccine responses, who have been dealing with issues here and abroad, who came in under contention. We literally have a sitting representative going through a trial because she was part of the domestic terrorism that happened January 6th of last year. Biden didn't come into a clean election. He had to deal with a country full of entitled weirdos who decided to storm our Capitol in response to losing in a fair and free election. And he still wanted to do his best to mend this place. And yet we have our media dinging the people who support him because they don't want us supporting him. They want us contrarian. They want us parroting that same cycle of fuckery that will keep us in a loop of misery. Welcome to the chat, Respect. And it's frustrating because this is the first thing I woke up to this morning. Black Americans are among the most affected by inflation. Everybody in America is affected by inflation. The fact that you want to frame this as a more problem for us, when we understand that globally we're going through some things, because last I checked, a little Russian Napoleon wants to try to fucking cause World War III, and that we still haven't seemed to figure out the way to distance ourselves from fossil fuels. That's giving Saudi Arabia more control over the prices of oil and other things. Instead of going the clean route because we can't make a bunch of money and ding a lot of people, instead we continue the circular logic of blaming one person for all the world's ills because it is voter suppression. And we have to stop doing that. Welcome to the chat, G. Feldman. And exactly, Abbott's antics this week should be a death knell for the Conservative Party. DeSantis antics this week. Let me bring that up because it has been real ridiculous. Between him fighting with Disney over charters that Walt Disney bought years ago in order to build a solid economy in Florida. Now you got DeSantis fucking with that. That's not going to go well for him. Charlie Crist is already leading in points because of this, because people don't like when you fuck with their money. But that is not as important as the fact that the Florida GOP has been redistricting, restructuring, and targeting black representation. They don't want them voting. They don't want them leading. And it's dangerous because this is how conservatives keep power. They can't do it in fair and free ways. So they make sure that they gerrymander, they redistrict, they keep our voices out of the loop. And it is a dangerous game that they can win if we don't press back. Shit like this should be on everybody's lips. So we're hearing the Disney stuff over and over again because greed has been the biggest vice grip of all the deadly sins for humanity. It is the biggest beast along with entitlement that we have to figure out. I don't know if we can full on fight it because it's so ingrained, so baked into our cultural system that it will take years of unlearning and purging our systems of it. But the fact of the matter is, the other side are going to do their dirtiest to make sure that black voices are attacked. And the media isn't helping them. Writing stuff about how we should be upset with this administration because of inflation. I'm upset with this whole entire world because we still have not gotten it together and understood that we cannot keep being beholden to these ridiculous archaic practices of charging for fuel when we should be working towards clean energy in this day and age. But nobody wants to hear that because you can't get rich off of that. And getting rich seems to be the only way we humans seem to promote viability. And it's bleeding into everything, including activism, which I talked about on Tuesday, but I really need to bring this point home again because it has gotten really shitty lately. I'm going to bring up this picture because it goes right to the heart of what I was talking about with cryptopotamuses last time. The whole idea that people who are supposed to be for BLM doing things like this drive me nuts. Let me see if I can find it. I'm sorry, I'm having a senior moment. And there we go. Chris Evans, thank you so much, Not Captain, for highlighting this. Now, y'all know how I feel about activism right now because the full idea of activism being a brand thing has been so dangerous, so deadly. When we have lost young activists, when we have lost people to the cause, whether they were legalized lynched, whether they were murdered, being out there just trying to make things better for us who are at risk of being America's next hashtag. And then you see stuff like this. And I get it. There are people who are all day debating this, trying to say, oh, we can't be in the pockets of activists. Activists shouldn't be getting rich off of black pain. And then you have these idiots that try to say, well, the Obamas got rich. And I'm going to shut that little nonsense down right now. Because y'all keep putting us in a monolith, even though y'all will be the first to say, don't monolith black people. Michelle and Barack Obama earned every cent they did, not on activism, but actual work. Both of them are Harvard graduates and lawyers. They were making their money even before they became POTUS, and now they make money doing speaking for all kinds of issues, not just black pain. These women made their name talking about legalized lynching and other things that directly impact our communities. This was not a photo op that reflects what this should be talking about. This is supposed to represent the anniversary of George Floyd's death, and you're sitting around having mimosas and a fancy thing when we just got finished talking about how many people are using pain, black pain and activism to elevate themselves to a better position in life, while the rest of us are still struggling not to be America's next hashtag. There's a problem and a disconnect. And way too many black people want to weigh in because they see themselves as getting that next bag. Instead of realizing that if they are louder than the message, if the paper trail leads to them living large, well, we are still struggling. But we still are releasing body cam footages because young black men are being shot by the police instead of being taken in and given proper due process as they are owed as citizens. That is a problem. And I'm just tired of entitlement. That is why what's going on in DC doesn't shock me. The fact that there's an active shooter just leads into that whole cycle of what's going on in America, where people were like, I don't like this. I don't like the way the government's treating me personally. The prices are too high. And instead of trying to work around it, I'm going to get a gun and solve things that way. And it's just tiring how many people have leaned into this arrogant attitude, this need to solve everything with violence or solve everything by just denying people their rights to exist. Florida in itself not only are attacking black voters, but have been attacking the LGBT. And we should not allow this to continue on. Hate is their only brand, and we need to shut them down. Exactly, G. Feldman, and welcome to the chat. I think what really frustrates me in this day and age is just how easy it is for people to forget how seductive greed is. How it gets its coils and tendrils into you, and then you end up forgetting the message. These women started off with a good path. Remember Trayvon just walking home in his own fucking neighborhood being legalized lynch and his murder getting away from it. That was what BLM was supposed to be about. And now you can't tell who's on the ground actually doing the work and who's in it for celebrity. And it's dangerous because the entitlement of it all. And then you've got people that want to defend them because, they deserve. They deserve a better life while people are still struggling. Are these women using these funds to help neighborhoods? Are they using these funds to help campaigns for people that can help us with things like the George Floyd policing bill? Are they helping our voter rights, which are fucking under attack? I have always been wary of famous activists who pre-1960s and 70s, because a lot of people like to conflate. Well, Angela Davis was famous, yes, for doing the fucking work. And the only reason why we know her name now is because she got to live long enough for people to stop vilifying her, which is the role of most black activists. But a lot of you want to forget that. Because in this fame and clout culture seeking time, more people want to just jump the gun and be famous instead of doing the fucking work. And Angela Davis faced jail time. She was constantly harassed. Yet some of you people want to put Leslie, I beg for money, Mac on the same level. And I'm going to put a stop to that shit. Because if you're not doing the work, if you're constantly online just being a contrarian, if your only activism is putting your fucking PayPal link while begging people to fund your lifestyle and not encouraging voting, not taking down people like DeSantis and Abbott and Kemp and so many of these other GOP fuckers who are literally targeted civil rights, I cannot trust you. If you got BLM in your profile and you're white and you think, I can dole out a few dollars to people like Leslie Mack, just alleviate my guilt at the fact that people are still being legalized lynch, you're part of the problem. Because Leslie Mack ain't doing anything for the cause. But you sure as heck have been funding trips to Jamaica and other stupid ass things. Stop making these brandivists famous. I should see less of shit like this. And more activists who are pushing for legislation. More people getting those who work hard elected so that we can get somewhere. We have to stop making it lucrative for times to be bad. Because that's all the other side has. And it is vexing to me right now. that I have to say stuff like this, but I won't stop saying it because we cannot trust those contrarians. We cannot trust those who only talk bad but don't want to think about the good. I said it before and I meant it. In a year's time, coming in under fire, that last asshole didn't even want to roll out the welcome in. He couldn't even accept his loss. He did everything he could to try to stymie the American process, to cheat his way back into the White House. And when that failed, he tried to stage an insurrection. Biden and Harris still came in, still said, we are going to do this thing. We are going to clean up. We are going to do the work. We are going to provide safety and security. We are going to roll out vaccines. We are going to listen to our experts. We are going to bring in experts because the last fucking guy fired everybody. We are going to undo as much damage within this first year as humanly possible, and we are going to do it unsung. And trust me on it, they have been unsung. Our media has been the worst with covering this. They can't ding Biden on the people who have his back, so they talk about the youth voters. Biden isn't wowing the youth voters with promises he didn't make. You ignore that the man got rid of $17 billion in debt for student loan issues, federal, the ones that he can personally take care of. No, but some of you want him to go after predatory loans in y'all states, not realizing that your local legislators should be the ones drafting legislation to fight that. But the media doesn't want you to think that because they know that when we have a shitty president, they have a news cycle. Why? Because when we are in fearful, awful times, we turn to them. It is a harmful cycle that we need to break if we are ever going to get somewhere. It is so frustrating to me to see the media attack the black communities that support our president because we understood that Biden wasn't coming into a clean place. So many of us have lived that life. One of the things from my former job that I remember was constantly going into other offices that had corruption. One of the things in our South Florida office was somebody was literally embezzling. I found $250,000 in money that was being misappropriated. It was my job to not only restructure, clean up the mess, but get these offices running again with no thanks. When I asked for a raise, I was told they couldn't find it in the budget. Even though I had spent all that time revitalizing offices, I bounced. I realized with Joe Biden, he was in the same situation no matter what he did. He was going to have people that, oh, it's not good enough. It's not fast enough. But when you look at the amount of fucking mess that this administration has come into, and welcome to the chat, Terry Antico, the amount of work that they do, unsung, heads down, boots to the fucking ground. I am just sick of those that only want to talk about those who stunt for power. I am sick and tired of those who are more famous for their antics than their actual work. We have to move away from that. One of the things I seen earlier today on Twitter too, a viral tweet about how, oh, I wish Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert would run for office. Because people cannot understand that while interesting, great talk show hosts, sometimes even funny, these people aren't politicians. And we need to distance ourselves from this star culture that makes us think, oh, famous equals leader. If a famous person does not know how to legislate, how the fuck are they a good leader? Have we learned nothing from celebrities who have ruined politics? Y'all want to make Reagan into this martyr. He was one of the worst presidents before the next celebrity idiot president of 45. We have to stop doing shit like this. These people are not meant to be legislators, and legislators aren't meant to be famous. They are meant to govern and budget and understand by surrounding themselves with people who are smart enough to control, to budget out things, to set laws that make every citizen feel safe and protected. And instead, you elect these fucking celebrities who don't know what they're doing, who talk a good game as they run your state into the ground and then wonder what happened. I'm sick of it. I want policy nerds. I want people like Lauren Underwood running shit in this country. I want people who can do the job that most people don't understand, won't bother to wrap your little brains around, but actually get effective policy that protect our kids, not target our kids like DeSantis is doing in Florida. What troubles me about Florida is it feels like 45 strategy. Continuous inundation of awful so that we can't just pick one thing to focus on. But I will pick it all apart. You cannot target the LGBTQ talking about, oh, it'll corrupt the kids when you are literally next to a state that is targeting child protection for marriage. Like Tennessee is literally going after the age of consent because you want to marry off girls young and dumb, force them to have babies, no matter how dangerous it is to their system. And this whole forced birth bullshit is their response to the fact that they denied science so hard that their people are still dying in droves to a preventable virus that is COVID. The conservative death cult is just that. And they don't care who gets hurt. They will keep their side. Violent, dumb, with easy access to weapons to harm those of us who are just trying to live. They want them hating fellow Americans that just happen to look different, pray different, or not pray at all. They want them hating anybody whose sexual identity is different from them, whose gender fluidity is different from them. It is all a coordinated attack to keep us stagnant. And the reason why is entitlement. If they keep us at each other's throats, if they keep us fighting each other and destroying any sense of progress made, their pockets get fatter. And the other side isn't always better. We've got those far left fuckers really seriously talking about old man running in 2024. No fucking no. And the reason why I'm not going to even indulge in bringing up Senator Sanders' nonsense for too long is because he never makes it out of a primary. So if some of you far lefters want to fund his next $1 million mansion, go ahead. But I'm telling you, the black delegation will shut him down again if he wastes his time and our time in 2024. He's never going to be president. And that's all I have to say about Senator Sanders and this ridiculousness. The fact that the media even tweets stuff like that out. The fact that anybody's writing articles about this seriously. The fact that my timeline was full of that weird woman talking about, this made me have an orgasm. Ma'am, I don't want to kink shame you. But if somebody announcing their run for president is what gets your motor running, you need to check your motor because there is something fucking wrong with you. There is a real weird disconnect when it comes to politics and social issues between those who have always had the world cater to them, those who have always had somebody in their life go, we'll just figure this out for you. And those are the rest of us who have just had to deal. And I try not to let it sour my mood, but it is beyond frustrating to me when you have people try to ding this administration on not doing stuff enough, not being fast enough, not carrying promises. Joe Biden kept all the promises he told people like me. He told me that he was going to put a black woman on the SCOTUS. He kept that promise. He told me there was going to be a vaccine rollout. He kept that promise. He said he was going to tackle the student loan issue, and to a tune of $17 billion, he kept that promise. He, in the face of entitled, selfish, arrogant people who would rather inject aged urine. And trust me, I've seen that video. I wish I could unsee that video. Some of y'all are out here really putting aged pee-pee, which is just ammonia in your fucking systems, instead of a vaccine that can help you and help us stamp this COVID out. You're really fucking pushing the line of pseudoscience over actual science, and this administration is doing its best despite it. And all you want to do is kick them in the ass because it's not fast enough. Whatever pet peeves you in the media could cook up to do this administration is not good enough. And I'm fucking tired of it. I'm watching people try to force the norms. We took Kiddo this week to a college to do his testing. And while they were good in enforcing masks, this lady coughed and sneezed by me and I had a damn near panic attack. All I wanted to do was go home. We were up at 6 a.m. because his virtual school cannot do at-home testing for some reason. So I accepted that. And while we took precautions, we are 3 times boosted, 2 times boosted for Kiddo. It was masked. I am still not ready to be around fucking fellow human beings. Because for everybody who's done the right thing, there are a lot of people who still think it's their right to not get a vaccine. And as a child of the 70s and 80s, I find it funny how many people nowadays are like, I can't trust science. I can't trust the vaccine. Y'all put all kinds of fucking inoculations in up for chickenpox, rubella. I know I got a shot to prevent polio, I believe. I got so many experimental inoculations. Back in the day, y'all didn't care. Gen Xers were constantly poked and prodded. So it fucking floors me nowadays when people are like, oh, I can't trust science. We are literally on devices that can connect us globally and you don't trust science anymore? Get the fuck out of here. But it's the problem of entitlement. We have allowed so many people to put their feelings beyond fact. And they are loud, and now they congregate and en masse spread their stupidity. The fact that there are even TikTok videos of people literally pushing that aged urine sat out in the sun in jars is a cure-all. No, you're dirty and you're nasty and I need a hazmat suit to deal with fellow humans now. I don't understand how we got to this. And I understand that every age has its dark side. But the fact of the matter is, living this in real time has been not only eye-opening, but fucking depressing. Because we have no excuse. We are in an age where information is at our fingertips. We are at an age where learning does not have to stop. But yet we still cling to ignorance, stupidity, hate, and pseudoscience that has no basis. Who was the first to decide, I am going to save my pee in bottles and then reuse it? And why? I can't even wrap my mind around it because for me, pee is something you get rid of. And maybe it's because I'm from New York and the smell of urine made me sick because you couldn't ride the trains or the buses or any place where people congregated and not run the risk of smelling urine. But I can't even imagine somebody taking their urine, jarring it up, and thinking that it's a cure-all. We are going fucking backwards before we go forwards, and it has to stop. And I don't want to ding one demographic, but when you look at who does shit like this, the people who are ingesting ivermectin, the people who are literally on TikTok with jars of aged pee-pee, taking selfies with their jar of aged urine. You don't see any melanin in those photos. And the reason for that is because we are taught from almost the get-go, whether you are Black, Asian, Hispanic, in most scenarios, you don't want to be unclean. You do not want to be dirty. Italian families too. I can't even imagine an Italian mom walking into a fucking room with jars of old pee-pee. You would get your ass beat. I'm dead fucking. I have my best friend's mom, Rose, whipped her ass for less. So I cannot even imagine her face, her grown-ass daughter. And I'm not saying that my friend does this. I hope not. I haven't spoken to her in years, and I don't know. Staten Island's full of weirdos. But I can just imagine, because Rose is still very vocal on everything, her whipping her son or daughter's asses for having stuff like this, because that shit's not normal. You literally have science backing these boosters, backing these vaccines, a way to protect yourself and your family, and you would rather drink waste. And that is entitlement. And the most dangerous part of entitlement is it's so baked into our system that people just ignore it until it's too late. Or they give it a platform. All day today, we have watched entitled people lie on the stand in regards to MTG, who should not be a representative. You got those weird lingerie pictures of Madison Cawthorn. And like I said, I'm not going to ding people for dunking on him, but dude doesn't need to be a representative. I already said why I don't feel he is a good representation of disabled Americans or any positive influence in politics. But he is a danger, and he has ties to the January 6th thing too. Everybody who has direct ties to that terrorist attack on our Capitol needs to be out of a job. Point blank, period. I don't give a fuck what their kinks are. I don't give a fuck if they can't cook. I don't give a fuck about their GED levels. I give a fuck that they are wasting the space on somebody who can actually legislate to make things better for all of us. Because that's the thing about entitlement that the media misses out with black people and many in our community. We have never been entitled. Everything we got, we have had to work for. We understand that when things are better for everybody, we benefit. And when you have that mindset, you don't get caught up, even though they catch some contrarians, but the majority of us don't get caught up in that, what has this administration done for only me? Because we were taught from the fucking get-go that it's not just about us. But some of you have shown heavy-handed that that has not been your lot in life. That the world constantly caters to your feelings, and you've got to get over it because you are holding us all back. Some of you want to make things only about your student loans, or, oh, the inflation's killing me. The inflation is harming everybody. But we have been combating that with job growth and security. People now have the freedom to jump from a bad job to a good job. There are more people able to work from home, thus giving them safety, security, and they spend a lot less money on fossil fuels. We are moving towards progress, but it is painfully slow because we still have a faction of people that they can get rich if you're miserable. They can get rich if you're wasting money on fuels that we are dwindling. Instead of focusing on ways to make things better, focusing on ways to educate ourselves better, they want y'all stuck in stupid stagnation. And we have to fight this, y'all. It is so frustrating in this day and age, seeing people who have platforms try to depress things, try to attack this administration, try to attack any forms of better. We have so many contentious races coming up. I seen that thing with the PA debate. And I know I have not hidden the fact that if I lived in PA, I would be supporting Conor Lamb. And I know some people are like, oh, Tim's going for the white guy. What about Malcolm Kenyatta? I really, really like Malcolm Kenyatta. I support him. I support his husband. I think in a few more years, he will be where he needs to be a senator. But I wish he had run for a representative seat instead. What PA needs right now, especially, is somebody with heavy legislative chops. Somebody that can be trusted to work with this administration. And I'm sorry, Kenyatta has flirted a little bit too heavily with the DSA bullshit for me. And I'm being 100%. It don't mean to me if you support him that you can't support him. I don't understand why this has to devolve into fights. This is just my opinion on this. I need team players because unlike some people, I understand that for us to get better stuff national-wise, we need state team players. We need people who aren't just going to fill up a seat and vote no all the fucking time on things like the Build Back Better and other infrastructure bills. We cannot afford to put more people in that stymie our government. And we need better local legislators, not just in D.C., but at your home front. Y'all need better governors if you're in Texas. Not idiots that cause trillions of dollars in fucking damage doing stunts at the border. because they would rather create human rights issues instead of doing their jobs. They would rather make issues for women instead of doing their jobs to protect every constituent. You got Deaf Santas targeting people for how they want to be and how they live their lives because hate is the only thing conservatives have. You got Kay Ives in Alabama doing her version of it because she's a ghoul too. All of them need to go. Kemp in Georgia. And we have people who can do the job. Not just running against them for Senate things, even though you need to pay attention to those races too. Val Demings is running in Florida. And she could do a lot better for our Senate than anything Rubio has ever done. The only time I see Rubio is when he's throwing out a Bible quote, not even following his Christian doctrine, because he still supports sex traffickers like Matt Gaetz. Another fucker sitting there supporting Myuri Green. You really are the company you keep. And when you look at all the things the conservatives have tried to put on the Democratic Party, it is just a mirror of deflection of all their dirty. Between the child trafficking, between just the selfishness and greed and embezzling funds. 45 pillaged and plundered and let so many of us get infected by a preventable pandemic. There was a research team that helped figure out where this was coming from. And instead of working with them, he fired them. The shit that we are still struggling with COVID is due to entitlement too. Because instead of being a decent president, Trump decided, I'm going to downplay this. I'm going to tell people not to take it seriously. I will get experimental drugs pumped into my system, but I am not going to tell you to mask up and do the right thing because we're hoping all the people that I don't like get sick and die from this. And COVID is still a thing, whether you're boosted or not. I am paranoid. For the next 2 weeks, my family is staying the fuck away from people while we make sure that even though we were masked and safe, we didn't come in contact with anybody with us. And that is the new reality for so many of us. And he has been real quiet with Disney because Trump knows where real money comes from. He's an idiot, but he's not going to fuck with people who actually have money. But DeSantis is not a smart man. And the sad thing about what he's doing with Disney is it's going to be the everyday people that hurt from this. And then they want to blame Biden because they have been so poorly educated in how basic civics work. And when your state government is doing you dirty, you need to replace them. No matter what people say about Michigan, we are not a perfect state. By any means. We have our Al-Qaeda sections here. We have our people that want to act out of fucking pocket because they don't know any better. But we have been led by Governor Whitmer into so much better times. We have legalized pot. I don't even smoke pot. I don't deal with cannabis because of what my mom has done with growing up. But I don't hate pot. I see it as a way to not only bring the state revenue, but to also show people that you can responsibly indulge in any recreational thing, but you need to be responsible. I don't have to like it to realize the effects that it could bring to our state. We have had good things under Governor Whitmer, under people like Senator Stabenow, Senator Peters. All of my representatives have been decent people that you could reach out to, that their offices help. I talked about what was going on in my household with the stuff with unemployment. That shit's cleared up now. Our state worked with us, worked with our house, and I feel like people don't understand that when you have governors that care, when you have senators that care, things that feel like they cannot be insurmountable, things that feel like, well, that's my lot in life, can be battled. And her race is doing decent respect. There are more Republicans gunning for her that don't have a fucking chance in the world. because their only thing is fear. One dude brought guns to his town hall talking about, we need to arm people, because that's all they have. They want people scared, they want people violent, and they want people dumb. And we have to keep pushing. That's Governor Whitmer has done more for the state. And all she's gotten is kicked in her ass for it. From those 14 fucking wannabe militia assholes who wanted to kidnap and kill her, to all of these people who sit there bitching as they reap the fucking benefits of a healthy economy. As they realize that our state, while getting harmed by COVID, could have had a lot worse. Those mask mandates worked. The lockdowns worked. And people who want to bitch about it, let them bitch. But we're still here to bitch because we had a governor that cared. And if that is not your state, if your state is still suffering, y'all need to do something about it. It's exhausting to me how many people under GOP leadership are complaining about inflation, are complaining about the lot they have in life. You literally have legislators that would rather ban education based on CRT myths instead of providing you with better jobs, better opportunities, and clean energy so that you aren't suffering under the weight of bills. So that when unnatural weather patterns happen, you're not caught assed out. But oh no, we would rather hold you to fossil fuels and say that it is your faith-given right to be in the poorhouse while you pay out your nose to heat your house or put in electricity when it's too hot. It's fucking ridiculous. And anybody who dares try to change things, oh no, it's too radical for me. It's too much change for me. My family has died in coal mines for years, and that's our lot in life. It's tiring. We are our biggest roadblocks. And when I say we, I don't mean the people in this chat, obviously. I mean we as a collective society are our biggest obstacle towards actual progress and equality. Because you let these assholes talk you into this entitlement game of, well, what about your needs? Your needs only have to be met. Because if you're happy, then everybody's happy. And when you have that sentiment, when that is your only focus in life, you sit home, you let your GOP-loving relatives vote in a fucking asshole that only ingratiates themselves in their pockets. They give tax cuts to people who already have way too much money, while you hold the bag and struggle just to feed your fucking family, and then you complain. And then you might wise up just a little bit, get a Democrat in charge who has a fucking shit ton of mess to clean up, has a ton of stuff they have to get done, but they're not magically centering on the one issue you wanted them to, so you ding them for it. The selfishness and the entitlement is what kills me, because it's holding us back from good. Y'all want magic done, but you don't want to put in the minimal effort to get people who could actually get legislation passed. Because, oh, they're not famous enough for me. They're not pushing my issue hard enough for me. They're taking care of these people too much. And then you say things like, well, these people are supporting the president, but he's not doing enough for them towards inflation, when we realize that inflation is happening to everybody. And I'm sorry, if I look at the way last year was from my house, my kid was able to get a new computer thanks to child tax care credit. I was able to pull myself out of treading water every fucking month. I'm able to pay my bills now. I'm able to do these Bonnet Chronicles uninterrupted because I have the equipment to do it now. My partner has a solid job working from home in a field that really helps people. We are doing so much better in only a year under the Biden-Harris administration. So yes, we support this administration. And it doesn't matter if certain issues haven't been touched yet. We know they can, because we know we have people in charge that actually care about those issues, that actually want to focus on those issues. but they cannot do it alone. And that is where we need you guys with the ability to vote. I say it all the time. If you are 18 years old and older and not registered, why aren't you? If you want to sit on Twitter and complain that, oh, things aren't getting better, what are you doing to make it? Because complaining doesn't get results. Action does. And that's why I say about these activists who are more known for their names and their books and being famous on MSNBC and CNN and all these fucking talk show circuits that amplify this star quality bullshit instead of the message. We need to stop amplifying stunts over actual activism, over actual work, because most actual activism is unsung. People with actual boots to the ground. People like Afrosabi, who is out there every time she can. This woman deals with health issues. This woman is trying to live her best life, but she still takes time to canvass, to phone bank, to do everything she can to help the democratic process. So many of us give of ourselves because we care about the future of this country. And I know that if you're disabled, that you wonder what you can do. There is plenty. And I tell people all the time, because there are a lot of people with mental disabilities that feel so targeted by the rhetoric. How can I help? People give me anxiety, Tan. How can I help? There are text banking where you do not have to even interact with another voice. Donations if you have it. Or just using your platform to amplify somebody running. There are plenty of ways to free grassroots for politics that can help. Never think that there isn't a way for you to utilize your presence to help us all. Because that way of thinking is so self-defeating. And don't be in it just to get praise. That's what I warn people all the time. I've had to check myself on that all the time. Because people look at follow accounts and bullshit like that. That doesn't matter. If you can't be yourself, whether you have one follower or millions of followers, you're a fraud. I check myself all the time because those numbers don't matter. I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to change what I'm about. I'm about getting progress for everybody. I look at this world and I see ways it could be better. We are in a digital age now, and while it is going to be messy, we have everybody's the first out of the gate trying to figure out how to be rich online instead of figuring out how to be better. That is the one big entitlement that people will not let go of. But I see people reaching out, connecting. I see people proudly being who they are. I read that article about that openly gay Indian prince and all the stuff he suffered with. Just trying to be who he is. Trying to just live his best life in face of awful prejudice. And I want a world where people can openly be who they are comfortably. Especially since who they are isn't harming people. If your sense of safety and security is rooted in how another grown-ass person lives their sexuality, especially when their sexuality is with another grown person, you're the problem. And I need to make that clear. I learned that early on, and maybe it's because I was fortunate enough to grow up in New York during the 70s and 80s. I had openly LGBT people that I loved who were human beings to me. And I could not understand why the world didn't understand that. Who they loved didn't matter to me. They were more family to me at times than actual blood relatives. And to see them put down and vilified via faith made me really understand that I can't be a part of any group that allows this stupid, senseless hate. Ignorance goes hand in hand with entitlement. The fact that you think that somehow somebody living their best open life, whether they are openly trans or openly gay, somehow harms your traditional way of thinking. Your traditional ways weren't solid then. I don't think about how anybody that doesn't live in my house and pays my bills lives their life. Honestly speaking. And maybe it's the sociopath in me. Maybe it's my ability to detach and disconnect. I don't weigh my life based on how others are living their life. That would be exhausting. If my house is content, that's okay for me. And my house could never be content if I was policing how two grown folks live their lives. I don't understand the desire for that. I have never understood the pull to people to dictate how other people should live their lives, how a person who knows who they are should feel. But I've never had that luxury, because from the fucking beginning, my pigment coming into this world as brown already labeled me an outsider. And I think anybody who understands what this feels like and still indulges in bigotry, y'all are the worst. Because you know what it's like to have the world treat you as different, treat you as other, and then you dare put that on somebody else? That's not a power trip. That shouldn't make you feel better. We should be working as a coalition, not only to work together and build each other up, but we really should be doing better. We have technology that is way smarter than we are. We should be out there exploring things and learning things, and instead we are fighting over things, trying to get that bag at any cost while people are still dying in droves. And the only way this is going to change is if we do some serious self-reflecting. My life isn't the most perfect. I don't think anybody can say that. There are days, like I said earlier, where you just cry, let it out, and keep it moving. But what I realize is that I have it good. I come from a place where my family had to fight just to say, I'm a human being and I'm American. They had dogs and hoses turned on them for daring to ask for their civil rights. I don't look that gift in the eye of being able to sit here and openly talk about politics and social issues. I don't turn my back on all the work that actual activists have done and continue to do, because a lot of those names you will probably never know until they are way gone from this earth. And there is so much that we can do as individuals to fight against entitlement and selfishness and actually move us towards a better place. People want to talk about us going beyond the earth, us going to Mars and other planets. Let's work on taking care of our attitudes on this planet first. I'm not saying that I love space. The thought of us going into outer space is a dream that most of us will probably never get to really achieve, but it's fun to think about. But we're not going to get there if we are still busy letting people become oligarchs, letting people tell us that wealth is the only measurement of human success. We have allowed greed to weave its way into every facet of society. So much so that it's all we know. Everything from marriage, which is a partnership, to just basic living is affected by the need to have a monetary value to it. And I know we're not going to just get rid of that, but we need to find ways to mitigate how heavy of an influence it is. You're not a success just because you have a lot of stuff. And as we've seen, people with a lot of money aren't great people. That Dan Price asshole decided that he was going to utilize his money to abuse women. Money doesn't make a better person. It just gives them more access to harm people, from what I've seen. So we need to focus on making ourselves better, whether we have a lot of resources or funds or not. Because that is a way we get a better society. We need to get away from the whole, achievement unlocked, I made millions of dollars. Because most people with a lot of money aren't good people, whether you want to hear that or not. And the sad reality is we have deluded ourselves into believing that that's the only measure of success, is to have a lot of funds and us giving here and there, and that makes them charitable, when they can literally set up. And that's the thing that I need people to understand. These people have the ability not to just give donations here and there, but to set up actual towns where people have steady work, steady schooling, but they don't do that because the divide between the haves or have-nots has still been a way to measure power. If you have a lot, you're supposedly powerful. If you have a little, you don't. And the only way we are going to get away from that is to stop allowing greed to be the measure of success. I grew up with that movie Wall Street being the big blockbuster. I remember Michael Douglas' soundbite of greed being good, and people ran with that shit. Reaganomics ran us into the fucking ground, and Trumponomics, and I hate to even call it that because he was too lazy to even build an economic thing. Besides, me and my family will ingratiate ourselves as much as possible with whatever dictators we can and grab all the money. That's all Trumponomics was. Greed is not good. But greed has gotten its grip in every fucking facet of our society. It has fostered the selfish entitlement. It is why, in the face of actual legalized lynching, in the face of abortion rights being targeted, in the face of mother mortality and other really life-affecting pressing issues, you've got these people yelling about student loan debt instead. Because they would rather make us only focus on stuff that would help their pockets over everybody else. And the entitlement that is just staggering. And fascism is definitely driven by greed. Every fascist leader lived like a king on the backs of the people that they supposedly were supposed to care about. And what kills me is how many people really want that, because they seem to think that they would be protected under a fascist leader. They think the dictator would be good to them and only bad to their enemies. And every moment of history has shown that that's not true. And you got these people indoctrinated early on to believe that this is their lot in life. Let me suffer now so that I can have some peaceful afterlife. And that should work for the serfs back in the day because they didn't know better. We need to stop making that the reality of this day and age. You shouldn't have to suffer in this life for the hopes that in some sort of death you'll be better off. That shit never made sense to me as a kid. It doesn't make sense to me now. And the fact that people are still pushing it and that some people are still buying it and just brand selling misery, we have to get away from that, y'all. It has done us no good to keep this cycle of fuckery going. And the only way we are going to get better is to be better people. And I'm not saying that for you to detach yourself from faith, because it is not a faith issue. It's a charlatan issue. If you utilize faith to make yourself a better person and care about people no matter what walk of life there is, you shouldn't feel targeted. But if I target somebody who utilizes your faith to say, oh, this person's different, you shouldn't like them, that is me targeting them, not you. The problem is that the person I'm targeting will say, see, they're attacking our beliefs. No. I'm attacking them using your beliefs to make somebody who's LGBT feel different, to make somebody who's black feel different, to make somebody who doesn't pray the same way as you feel different, thus bad. When you turn faith into a country club instead of a path that helps guide people, give them strength, try to make sense of why we're here, that is a problem. And too many selfish, entitled people are very loud bullhorns for faith right now. We have to get away from those types. They are doing way more damage to the cause than they don't care. And if you do care, you need to work on yourself. You need to work on not being swayed so easily by contrarians, those who only want to talk negative without solutions, those who only have bad things to say about everyone and everything. But when you ask, okay, well, what's your plan? I don't have a plan. I just want to complain about everything. I don't have a plan. They're just not doing stuff fast enough. Inflation's bothering me. I knew stuff was going to go up after Trump left because Biden had a mess to clean up. So I started, and I will make a new thread about it if it needs. There are ways to smart shop. People should be safely bulk shopping for things that are non-perishable, stocking up. Those of you my age and older should know better. We have been through rough times before. We have survived plenty of housing market crashes, plenty of economic upheavals. So learning how to shop around that should be child's play to us. There's absolutely no excuse for people to be complaining about pricing and stuff as if we haven't survived stuff like this before. Smart shop, stock your house up, stop complaining, and start voting. Because the only way we are going to come out of this better is if we have better reflections for us in DC and at home. And if your governor isn't doing things to boost your state's revenue, if your government isn't smart enough to not fight with places like Disney that bring billions of dollars in revenue, you need better local governors. You need better local senators. You need representatives who aren't having pictures circulating of them in fucking weird David's Bridal looking lingerie. It is on us to make things better. And unfortunately for us, we don't have people who are loud enough reminding you of what's important still. We have a media that would rather ding this administration. We have contrarians that would rather say, I'm not feeling this enough. He's helping way too many people, so I'm not being centered. And that is a problem. So if we are going to take on this beast of entitlement, we have to work on that person looking in the mirror, because that is the only way we are going to fight this. Please have your midterm strategies ready. Get out there and vote. Do your bare minimum to help us all. That's all we can ask you right now. And if you can do more, great. But all I want is for people to not throw away their voice. I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. Thank you so much, everybody that has been saying, standing in there. And exactly, if your religion is good, show me and don't tell me. And that's another thing. I followed a young lady today, and I say young lady, they're not young. They were talking about how in 1978, there was a federal law that had to be passed so that actual indigenous Americans could pray in their native ways without being arrested. Our civil rights were fought by our elders. Being able to do things that some people take for granted had to be fought for. And there are too many people that want to drag us back away from that, and we cannot allow them to have power. It is on us. And all we have to do is our bare minimum. And Yoga Mo, it's okay. I really will be back on Tuesday with another one of these. But for real, I think people need to understand just how far we have come. But we still have so much to do to make things better for all of us. And we have to get out of that mentality that it's all about me and it's all about my needs. Because there are too many people that exploit that on the far left and all around the right. And if that is your attitude, you will get nothing. But if you have the attitude that it doesn't matter if this helps me, helping everybody else helps me, you will see actual progress. I really want people to go to bed tonight wondering what they can do to help beyond themselves, beyond their community, and not just coming out of pocket, because everybody ties that to money. Not everybody has money to just give away. Give your time. Sometimes just give your ear and listen. The things you can do to help people don't mean you always have to come out of pocket or break yourself. Just being there for communities that need you does a world. Offer your physical labor if you have the ability to. Offer your ear if you can't do that much. But just offer more of yourself and stop worrying about financial bullshit, because that is stressing me out the most. Seeing people turn what should be progress into profits. We have to get away from this, y'all, and we have to do it together. It really is, G. Feldman. Time is the most valuable thing, and we need to start giving that as the best commodity. But I'm going to get ready. Exactly, yoga. And that's the point I think a lot of people miss. They miss the fact that just giving of yourself, whether it's your vote, whether it's your voice, whether it is tuning in and listening, whether it's canvassing, all this stuff that you can do for free, educating yourself. You can do that now for free. And there's no excuse. I see people on Twitter every day, so I know you've got devices that give you internet access. Take the time to learn something new every day. I am currently learning the German language. Why? Because I wanted to. I have the ability to. There is nothing stopping you from learning new stuff every day at your pace so that you're not under pressure. We have devices that can help make you better. Utilize them and do everything you can to be safe. Please. Too many of my friends this week announced they had COVID. I know that even boosted, they have a chance of survival, but it's still a fact that too many still aren't boosted. Too many aren't protecting yourself. So if this is you, please go get safe. HPP is not going to help you. Cattle dewormer is not going to help you. There is a booster that can help you. And I say this as a shut-in who is 3 times booster. I want things back to normal too. I miss being able to do geeky things. We drove around for a little bit while kiddo was testing. We thought about going into a bookstore, but I just couldn't. The anxiety was just too great. I don't want to be around humans just yet. I can't do it. I want to fight that urge, but people aren't doing what they need to do yet. I want things to get better, and the only way to do that is for people to actually educate themselves and do better. But like I said, I am going to, exactly, G. Feldman, I'm team learning for life. Until the day I can't put new knowledge in my brain, that is what I'm going to do. And I know I'm not a genius level learner, but it doesn't mean I don't deserve to soak in as much knowledge as I can. And we have the ability to do it. And that's what kills me about this day and age. That's what kills me about this digital age. We have too many people trying to get famous instead of trying to better themselves. Because once again, that root of success right now is in entitlement and selfishness. And I swear to you, the only way we are going to get better as a society is if we focus on learning. But like I said, y'all, I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. It's after 8 o'clock. I will be back on Tuesday with a new Bonnet Chronicles. I really appreciate all of you that join me in this chat. I appreciate all of you who follow me here and on YouTube. You have made doing these things so much better for me. I've joined several networks. There's a new Discord now for people who support VP Harris and beyond. There are just so many people organizing and interacting, and I'm going to do my best to help spread the word for them as well. And if you do anything and want me to put it out there, please let me know. I really appreciate all of you. I will be in definitely different people's chats this weekend because a lot of my friends stream. I really love all of you and appreciate you. And hey, Zai, hey, honey. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up, make some dinner for Axiom and I already fed kiddo before because he don't wait for these. But I will see you all next week. I definitely love y'all. Take it easy. Jim? Okay. He wants to play? He can play the song. Let me see if I can play the song. Let's see. There we go. I got infinite points. Well, let me. Oh, it's on cooldown. The Mystics were my favorite too. I'm sorry. All right, y'all. I will see y'all on Tuesday. Thank you so much. And you take care of each other and have a great weekend. Love y'all.